Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Just Nerds here with another Friday podcast. At least we're recording this on Friday. Today we're going to be talking about DC Universe's weird direction it's taking with all of its um, just various business decisions on the DC cinematic universe. So I'm Blake, and joined with me today is Jonathan. Say hi, Johnny.
Hello.
So yeah, we're going to be talking about just the recent and past stuff that's been happening with DC's crazy cinematic universe. So I think we should start with the big one, or the one that's had the most changes going throughout. So let's start with the Flash, and
Ooh, yes.
just to recap. So I have all the losses in
Mhm.
terms of directors and creative stuff written down. So this will be really brief. I just want to recap. So the first loss came when I guess rather the first directors for the Flash solo film were Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, who worked on the Lego Movie, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and 21 and 22 Jump Street.
Well, wasn't it just that like, what was it? They just didn't want to direct? I don't think
Uh,
they were directing in the first place.
well, actually, no. From what I understand from the research I've done, they actually were going to direct, but they dropped out in favor of the Han Solo anthology movie.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you're right
so
about that.
they were gone. They didn't whatever work on the project they did is yet to be.
They did write the, screenplay for it, though.
Yeah, from what I understand, that's what they did. They started out with that, but whatever happened with that, well, I guess we'll see. The second director to fill their shoes was Seth Graham Smith, whose previous works include the two novels and films: Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, the movie Dark Shadows, and currently he's also writing the Lego Batman movie.
Hmm.
And it should be noted, and I did some research. It should be noted that he only wrote those films, and his only directorial work is two episodes of an MTV show called The Hard Times of R.J. Berger, I think it is.
Hmm.
And he created that show too. But yeah, he was the first director to have a public, I think, announcement of leaving due to creative differences.
Mhm.
And the second director, and then the third director to fill those shoes was I apologize if I butcher his last name. It's Rick
Yeah.
Fumiwa. That's how
F
I pronounce it. Is Fumiwa?
Famuya? I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, I just pronounce it Fumiwa, like it's from
Fam
Iowa. I don't know. But he was the director of the movie Dope and a few other movies that aren't really that popular. I don't think. But Dope is the biggest one. And he dropped not very. Uh, he dropped really quickly, actually, as soon as they picked him up.
Mhm.
And so right now, The Flash is currently going and undergoing a page one rewrite by Joby Harold,
Yes,
who's the current writer for King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. His other works include Robin Hood, Edge of Tomorrow, and apparently an upcoming Twilight Zone film. So,
but I do also wanna say he's only been executive producer of Edge of Tomorrow.
oh yeah,
His
he
only
didn't.
writing credit before then was currently is Awake, which came out 2007, which is apparently not that great.
Okay, I did not know that actually.
Yeah, yeah. And from now, I guess coming up to now, his only one is Awake, but the ones coming up are Robin Hood, King Arthur, and The Flash. And
Okay,
for those who don't know, I don't know if Blake was gonna say this, but page one rewrite pretty much means they're rewriting it from scratch.
yeah, going all
And
the way back to
yeah,
forgetting everything past. So,
and the fact that they get a script from the guys who did Jump Street and the Lego Movie, which by all means should be a pretty decent script,
yeah.
and getting this guy who hasn't really worked on a lot of stuff, which is really odd.
hmm I mean, what a mess. Like, that was 3 directorial changes, and you have 2, specifically citing creative differences. And as far as I know, Fumiwa didn't really do much. All I think I heard that he did was cast, the girl from Dope as Iris West.
Mhm.
That's all I heard he ever even got a chance to do. I mean, the first question that comes to my mind is, should this really be that hard? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, I know I know, I've heard of development hell for films, you know what I mean? For movies both bad and good and just flat out canceled alike, but holy crap, man. I mean, this is the Flash. This is what the heck, man? I'm so
yeah, and
shocked.
considering that it's casted, like, everybody's ready to go, they had a script,
Mhm.
it just needs someone to, direct it and just we can't get to that point apparently.
Yeah, no. I mean, as far as I've understood, it's always been cited as creative differences. I've never heard anything about um Ezra Miller being notoriously difficult to work with or anything like that. Um and he has had and as far as I know, he's had no comment on the matter on any of this. Um so what the heck? I mean, I just and I just I'm almost speechless as to what is going on because you think that I just I have really nothing to say. I
Yeah,
don't know.
because I know of all the movies coming out, Flash is the one I've been most excited about.
Mhm.
But hearing, throughout all this, just hearing all the stuff that's happening, I'm just like, I just want this movie to be good, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing though, is I haven't seen any of Seth Graham Smith's work. None of it. I've never even bothered with Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I heard Pride and Prejudice and Zombies was
Okay.
from to whatever.
Mm,
I heard Dark Shadows was actually somewhat good. I don't
mm.
know if I think I if I remember that movie came out a little while ago. I don't really remember it. That's the vampire movie with Johnny Depp, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really all I have to say. The Lego Batman movie looks funny, looks great. I was surprised to hear that he was the one doing it. Really surprised actually. I thought it was the exact same people from the Lego movie, but um, whatever. I mean, but a lot of people actually, and I've read this online, a specific article online uh, was like kind of saying that this is probably one of the better decisions made by Warner Brothers to get him off the project because he had such inexperience and yet such experience that it wasn't um, like substantial enough to really
For
warrant
who?
it. Seth Graham Smith, the
Oh.
first director, the
Mm,
the second director, I guess I should say. People were kind of saying that like maybe it's best that he didn't work on the project. Um, but I don't know if that's the case. I haven't, like I said, I haven't seen any of his stuff. However, Rick Fumi from Iowa, so, you told me you said you wanted to talk about this, right? And
mm,
so I was all like, you know what? If he was potentially considered for directing the Flash, I should go watch Dope. It's on
mhm.
Netflix, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go watch it. And I watched it, and it's actually a really good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great movie. I was laughing. I thought it was great. Um, so yeah, I think,
Yeah.
but I think
I could see him making the Flash movie.
you know what? I could, but I think, well, because they're very tonally, different. They're completely different films. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One's a coming of age story. One's a superhero movie. Um, and I would like to see what he would have brought to the character. I think it would have been really interesting to see what he could have um like done. You know
Mm,
what I mean? But obviously that's not going to happen. So I think you and me and so many other fans out there are all wondering, just like, what the heck is the deal? Like, what was the first draft like to the point where so many directors were like, this is not good or something? You know what I mean?
yeah, but like coming back, the guys who wrote the Jump Streets, which are really funny, Lego
Mm-hmm.
Movie, which is great,
Yeah,
at the least, it should have been like decent, you know?
exactly. I 100% agree. But it's just like, what the heck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
And it's really bad when you consider this movie was supposed to film in January.
yeah. And it's just so it's very bizarre because I honestly just have no idea what to even say because like what happened? Is it Warner Brothers? Is it someone from DC? Is it one of the actors? Like what's going on? Or is it just the director being like a Josh Trank of some sort? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um that's what everybody, including me, wants to know, you know what I mean? So like well I guess to get into that, what do you like think is the reason for them citing creative differences.
I I really couldn't say. I guess maybe just DC just really wants like a a really good hold on like what like their vision of what they want for this universe.
Mhm,
And when I guess maybe these directors they have because when you're a director, you have like your own you want your own way of doing a movie, to a certain degree.
mhm,
Like Marvel, while they do stick to their certain style, there will be certain differences with certain directors just because they're different people, different way of doing movies.
mhm,
So I don't know. I think maybe just whenever these people come in and they want to work and do certain things, DC's just like, no, you got to do it this way, and just trying to hold down their directors. And if that happens to you, why would you stay?
mhm. Yeah, no, you're totally right on just like exactly what you said, and I was gonna point out the Marvel movies because and you look at all the movies, they very rarely like Joss Whedon didn't direct a solo movie for the Marvel universe. He usually only did the two Avengers films. Um, Same with the director for Iron Man. He only did Iron Man 1 and 2. Same with the Captain America films. You know what I mean? Is it's they seem to keep the specific characters glued, almost glued to the two to to their characters. You know what I mean? Like you didn't have the director for Iron Man working on Thor. You had him
Okay.
producing it, but you
Mhm.
didn't have him like actually writing it and directing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just find that interesting, and I just find it bizarre how it's how I've never heard of a movie doing this. You know what I mean? Of completely dropping. I've heard of movies. Plenty of movies have dropped screenplays. Like I've heard of tons of movies that went through script after script after script until they got exactly what they wanted. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Heck, Superman Returns is a great example of that. Uh, but I mean, I've very rarely do I actually hear of directors just dropping, and especially a project of this. I guess for lack of a better term, stature. You know what I mean? Like this is the Flash. This is a popular hero right now because of the TV show and his like pop culture status. You know what I mean? So I find it interesting.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's very weird. But with all that said, where do you think we're going to see a Flash movie by 2018?
Um,
And more importantly,
that's
I guess, do you think it'll have quality to it?
it's hard to say just because it's kind of a mess right now. And
Mhm,
I mean, we have had movies where the production's been a bit of a mess. Like Ant-Man, I guess, was a pretty, interesting development cycle for that.
mm,
But that was a
mhm,
great movie. But then I don't know. I feel like Marvel has a better grasp of how to,
mhm,
bring out quality in their products. Because DC hasn't really shown that or hasn't instilled confidence in doing it consistently.
mhm.
So I want it to be good. I really do, but I really couldn't say at this point.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat as you. Like, I want to say yes to both of those, much like you, but it's at this point, there's such a lack of, I guess, clarity on the situation for just everything. So, with that said, well, judging by the fact that it's a page one rewrite, not a reshoot or something like that, I would say we're gonna this movie's gonna be for sure probably push back till about, I wanna say 2019, 2020, or something like that.
Mhm.
Just for the fact that it's just getting rewritten and such like that, so is it I don't think it's in danger of being canceled. Um, I kinda doubt that would happen. I
Yeah.
mean, but I think here's a determining factor. I think if Justice League performs poorly, I think they'll pull the plug.
Yeah, it's been really odd just seeing how, like, pretty much everyone except for, I guess, the diehard fans of this universe already, they're just like, "You know what? We gotta reboot it already," which
Mhm.
is really bad considering we only have 3 movies out so far,
Yeah, mhm.
and I don't know, cause by the time DC, if they were to reboot it, if they do that, by the superhero, like, craze is gonna die down a lot, and
Yeah,
they will have missed their chance.
mhm. I mean, it's already I think it's already on a slow, steady decline, you
Mhm,
know? Um, Not to say that the drop in quality has been there, I just think because I think the quality's been pretty decent, pretty, you know, substantial, I guess is the best, like, consistent, that's a good word.
mhm.
Like, I think the quality of Marvel films has been consistent. I just think that people are starting to realize that, "Okay, this is pretty much the same movie I saw, like, 5 years ago." You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, but I can completely agree with you. I can say that I think DC's I think they either just missed the boat or they jumped the gun. They did a little bit of both on honestly, I think. They either completely rush or they don't take enough time or they just take too much time, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, with that said, I guess I'm gonna go on to the second announcement that I heard this week, and I don't think we talked about this, but the Green Lantern Corps movie was just recently announced to be being it's gonna be written by David S. Goyer, who is the writer for the Dark Knight trilogy, Man of Steel, and he has credits in BVS. So this is the what is that? If I'm terrible at math, sixth movie I believe that he'll be writing a DC character for. So what do you think of this?
That's interesting that they had to bring, oh, not, oh, 'cause he the Man of Steel, so it's
Well,
not like to bring him out of nowhere.
yeah. Well, again, you're right. It's not like they're bringing him out of nowhere. I just the first kind of red flag that I raised in my mind was this guy's writing in the entire DC universe. You know,
Yeah.
like, or at least the cinematic universe. Excuse me. I mean, I, don't get me wrong. I think he's a great writer. I mean, his work on the Batman films and other Christopher Nolan films has been outstanding. You know,
Mhm.
um, I think he's a really good writer. I can't help but feel as if he's he has I think he has too many characters at his disposal. Because here's the thing, Man of Steel. I've been thinking about that movie a lot because since our best of uh, talk, best of 2016, best of worst of 2016, I guess I should say.
Mhm.
Um, and the more I think about it, I'm like, you know, what was the point of that movie? Like, what did that really try to tell the audience? You know what I mean? And the more I think about it, I'm like, that movie really didn't apply to anybody in the crowd. I'm like, that was just a Superman movie. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of weird how they're going from like how do I put this? David S. Goyer is really good at writing Batman, but he hasn't earned enough to say that he can write Superman and Green Lantern and heck Aquaman, the Flash, whatever. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I, again, I think Man of Steel was like the tipping point. It's the point where I think people were like, okay, I kind of see where Superman's coming from. Like I can see the potential in him, but you got to convince me a little more. And that's it. I mean, Batman for right now, Batman is the strongest character in the DC universe right now. He's, I would say, even as to go as far as to say he's the only really substantial character in the DC universe because everyone else is either just, I mean, do you I don't know, man. What do you, I don't know what to say. I'm honestly just so I don't you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I don't know how he would pull off Green Lantern in that way.
Mhm. And it's important to note that it's not just like Hal Jordan Green Lantern. It's Green Lantern Corps. So it's
Oh.
multiple. Yeah, it's multiple Green Lanterns. So are we going to be seeing Kilowog, John Stewart? You know what I mean? Are we going to be seeing the just the lesser known? Well, not lesser known, but like you know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, this is Green Lantern movie. It's about the Green Lantern Corps. So well, I think that's an interesting concept. Like I don't know. Like you're I think you're slightly a bigger Green Lantern fan than I am. No,
Um, I guess slightly.
yeah, slightly. But I mean, so like, what do you think is like the best, like I guess, option for this? Because this is it's kind of just I just think it's a strange call. You know?
Yeah, because Man of Steel's a good movie.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie. I would say.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. But the depiction of Superman is interesting at
Mm-hmm.
the very least. And so I'm just picturing that same kind of interpretation with Green Lantern,
Mm-hmm.
which would be really weird, is because it wouldn't just like you said, how Jordan it'd be like the whole core.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think it'd be a really weird tone just from what we've seen in the past for Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. No. See, it's I'm on the same boat as you, man. I just think that it's like if you look at I don't like comparing DC to Marvel because they're very substantially different with just everything, even now. But I just find it weird how Marvel has this way of switching writers every single movie. Like, you know what I mean? We don't have one writer just like
Yeah.
we don't have Joss Whedon doing all these Marvel movies. We have him doing just the Avengers movies. And not even anymore. He's done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um but in DC's case, we have David S. Goyer basically almost writing the entire, aside from Suicide Squad, which really doesn't have anything to do with. I mean, Batman was in that movie, but like, whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, it doesn't really have. I find that I can't get over that. I find that weird. You know, like we have
Yeah.
one. It's just it's weird. It's just super weird. You know what I mean? And I mean, whatever DC's gonna do, I mean, the old like I just I don't understand what they're I think I said this in our best and worst, but like what do they want? Like I don't get what they're trying to go for, like, you know? So I mean, I guess we'll find out. So, but that was the second topic, but I guess we'll get into the more recent and probably I think the biggest one.
Mhm.
Ben Affleck has recently announced that he is not going to be directing um the the Batman movie that he was previously going to be directing and acting in. So, um yeah, that's what is that? 4? That's the 4th director they lost now.
Yeah, but so you looked into the reason of why he left, right?
I did. I actually am going to let me just pull up his statement cuz yeah, here we go. So, here is what he said on all this. He said, "There are certain characters who hold a special place in the hearts of millions. Performing this role demands focus, passion, and the very best performance I can give. It has become clear that I cannot do both jobs to the level they require. Together with the studio, I have decided to find a partner and a director who will collaborate with me on this massive film. I am still in this and we are making it, but we are currently looking for a director. I remain extremely committed to this project and look forward to bringing this to life for fans around the world. So, what do you think of that?
See, it doesn't sound that bad,
Mhm.
but the fact that it's another director that's kind of dropping out of the movie, not dropping out, but you know,
Mhm.
seems kind of weird. Like, I don't know if I can trust that statement. I don't know. I
Mhm.
don't doubt Ben Affleck, but sometimes you get those kind of like responses like, "Oh, it's just I can't pull it off," which might very well be the case.
Yeah.
And if so, that's all right. But for a lot of people, with the doubt of this universe, like, oh, Wonder Woman, sure, hopefully that's good. Flash, that's oh my gosh, all this stuff. I feel like people had the most confidence in the Batman solo movie because it was Ben Affleck directing.
Mhm. Yeah, and he's proven himself to be a really good director.
Mhm.
So, that's a big contributing factor, you know what I mean? And to add on top of that, I myself will even say I was interested and very intrigued to see what he would have done, you know? I would like to see Ben Affleck, again, Ben Affleck, the guy who was in Daredevil, his vision for the Batman, literally probably one of the most popular superheroes, if not the most popular superhero of all time. Like, it would have been really intriguing, no? But that's not the case, and I'm curious to see if they're gonna keep the same script. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't mention that they're gonna get rid of it or anything like
Mhm.
that. As far as we know, Deathstroke is still the main villain. Um, and Ben Affleck's still gonna be Batman. Um, but are they gonna pull someone in there who's just gonna be like, let's start over, you know? Or
Well, I mean, they did it with the Flash, so they could do it with Batman.
yeah, I was gonna say, and I think, and just to go back on your point of his, I guess, for lack of a better term, sincerity. You know, I was thinking about that. I was all like, you know what? It's weird because you're totally right. He sounds very sincere. Like he sounds like he's like, this is just a job. I can't do both jobs. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But there is that sort of hint that like, maybe he just didn't want to do it because he didn't want to deal with the execs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because uh I mean, I personally, if I had to choose between the two, I want to believe a little bit more that he's sincere. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? He
Yeah.
means it. Because maybe it's just my mind saying I don't want to believe that everybody over there is just stupid or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so that's where I choose to kind of put my money on. What do you think? If you had to choose one, do you think he's sincere, or do you think that there's something actually going on at the Warner Brothers executive offices? You know,
Oh man, it's so complicated.
it
So,
is.
if I had to choose, I would like to believe that he's very sincere about it,
Hmm.
and that maybe he just doesn't feel like he could, but I feel like he could though.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Hmm.
I feel like he could do both.
Hmm.
I don't.
I and it's such a bizarre, such a bizarre, just way of working. You know, this whole cinematic universe has been extremely just weird. I mean, I, the next movie coming out is Wonder Woman, correct?
Yes.
And then after that, it's Justice League. I mean, Wonder Woman looks actually like it's gonna be pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If anything, I think the only issue it has going against it right now is that it looks a lot like Captain America,
Yeah.
the first Avenger. Which, you know what? I'll admit, I watched the trailer again recently, and I was like, this looks just like Captain America. Like I can't get over that. But I think it has enough grounds to be substantially different. You know, I think as long as they stay true to Wonder Woman's character and they make the characters interesting, then I think we're in for a good movie. If anything, a solid movie. You know, you know what? I'll even go as far as to say that I'd be okay with walking away from that movie and having it being about the same quality as Man of Steel. You know what I mean?
I thought you were gonna say Suicide Squad at first.
No, 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 no. Man of Steel. If it was like Man of Steel in terms of quality, I'd be okay.
Mm,
At
yeah.
least that's where I stand. I don't know. What do you think?
No, yeah, I feel like it was Man of Steel. I would be fine. It's just
Mm.
I do have hope for it. I'm not really worried about it,
Mhm.
even though that movie also lost a director, which
Yeah,
weird.
it's so weird. I
Yeah.
and they haven't said anything else about their reasons for leaving, except creative
Yeah.
differences. But they haven't gone
Yeah.
into detail, and I would assume that they're contractually bound not to be able to say what's going down.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I kind of think we're looking at like a Josh Trank Fan Stick kind of thing here, man. Just such a lack of communication, just a despising of the projects, the actors. I mean, dude, you know what? A better example. I think we're looking at Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern movie.
No, don't say
Because
that.
I
No.
mean, well, because I showed you guys the stuff I found about that movie,
Yeah.
and it's oh my god, it's terrible. Like holy crap. That's a three strike problem. Number one, you got a director who hates the main actor. Number two, you have producers going in and literally editing and changing the film. And I forget the third one. Wasn't it like I can't remember. I remember one of them being that the producers went in and completely just destroyed that film by taking out character moments and dialogue and oh I don't know, man. I mean, I think we're looking at that because oh, I remember the third one now. It's when Jeff Johns went up to the producers and was like, "Hey, can I make a Green Lantern movie back in like 2001?" And they said, "Sure, can we make it without the ring?" And he never talked about it again. And it's like, dude, I don't know, man. I think we're looking at Green Lantern stuff again.
Mm,
What do you think? Because it's just
well, from what we've seen, we know that DC doesn't have a great handle on first off their characters.
no.
They're not yeah, which is weird,
Hmm.
but or would that be, I guess be more Warner Brothers or I
Well,
guess
Warner Brothers, I think. Well, DC, they don't. I don't think they have. It's not really clear how those two work together. As
hmm
far as I know, DC really doesn't have any like say in the matter. More or less, they're just there because Warner Brothers bought them.
hmm
From what I understand, it's really Warner Brothers that's like, "Hey, we want to make these movies because we own these characters," and there you have it. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. And on top of that, they clearly do not have a hold on their planning either.
mm-mm,
The fact that Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, there's a 3-year gap between that,
mm-hmm,
and it didn't really help because we saw what we got. The
yeah,
delay didn't really help out that movie,
mm-hmm.
or maybe it did,
Hey, well,
which would
I
be funny.
mean, big delay. That's I think one of the things that is that DC is notorious for. So
Yeah,
far
and in
is
between was what did I say 3 years? Yeah, 3 years.
yeah, 3 years.
In between those 3 years, Marvel got out so many movies,
Mm-hmm.
so many movies.
Mm-hmm.
They so when was the first Avengers? 2012.
I believe the first Avengers was 2012, and then they jumped like
Yeah,
phase two.
2012. we've already gotten to the point where, we went past the second Avengers movie,
Mhm.
and DC is still trying to get to Justice League, but
Mhm.
we've seen the way they're getting there is not great.
Mhm. Yeah. No.
We're going from Batman v Superman to Wonder Woman solo film, which is cool. We're not getting, I don't know, what I'm trying to say here, but we're getting like a solo movie, I guess, to get away from that for a bit.
Mhm.
But right after, going back to Justice League, and the things we've been hearing, it doesn't sound like it's gonna be great either.
Yeah.
Hopefully it is, but and then yeah, just a severe lack of planning and just understanding what they're going for.
Mhm.
As we saw with Suicide Squad,
Yeah.
it looked, it seems like they were going for two different tones at the same time,
Mhm.
dark and serious, but also fun and wacky. It's like, okay, you gotta pick one.
Mhm. Yeah, I was just about to say pick one. Yeah. And yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. And you're totally right. It's a lack of planning. It's just a like Marvel has plans of movies for the next like what is it 10 years?
Yeah,
Like less than 10 years? I'm sorry, like 5 maybe. But like what are we getting in those next we're already got a Black Panther movie. We already got a, you know, like Black Panther. Like let that sink in real quick. We're getting a Black Panther movie, you know what I mean? 10 years ago, back in like 2006, nobody even knew who Black Panther was, you know?
yeah,
Or at least a very small amount of people. Like comic nerds knew who Black Panther was, of course. But like here we are in the midst of people knowing who like Thanos is, you know? But I just think that it's a very like you're totally right. You hit the nail on the head. It's just a lack of planning and a lack of direction.
yeah. I'm very curious about what happens like in the boardroom,
Yeah.
when you're planning all this, like because I feel like at the very least, if they're trying to go for this certain tone, like a darker tone, just go all in.
Mhm.
But they clearly are not in that mindset. So I'm I'm super curious about what's happening in those meetings.
Yeah. No, and it's totally right. It's I think I said this a while ago, but I heard somewhere that Warner Brothers was like actually surprised that BVS did bad, you know? And it's
Yeah,
like
they thought it was gonna destroy records.
I heard at the screening they gave it a standing ovation.
Hmm.
And I was like, "Okay." And my brother told me that. I'm like, "Okay, was that a room full of Warner Brothers executives?"
Probably, yeah.
Well, then there you go. That's probably why that's exactly what he said. He's like, "Probably, yeah." I'm like, "Well, then there you go. That's why they gave it a standing ovation." They're like, "Hey, my money's gonna pay off," you know?
Wasn't the rumor that after they did the standing ovation, that's when they wanted to add, like, more Batman? Or maybe not in that movie, but they're definitely like, "We're doing a more focus on Batman now."
Mhm. And well, I mean, no, there's no other character. I mean, the other guy in the film is completely dead now. Which can I? Oh, the trailer for Justice League just pisses me off. Like, oh, but wait, I'll talk about that later. But like, you're totally right. You know what? I did hear that. I heard that they were like, oh, we need more Batman. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But they always say that. Like, when don't they say that? They were saying that
Yeah,
back in 1980s, 1990s, back when Tim Burton's film came out. You know?
yeah, and did you see for the, kinda unrelated, but for the Justice League Dark animated movie that well, first, we know they put in Batman, but
Yeah.
also Batman on the front of the cover now.
Yeah, I saw that. I did see that.
I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
We went from, "This is gonna be completely separate," focus
yeah.
on these characters nobody really knows about.
Zatanna and Constantine and
Yeah,
yeah.
and like, okay, well, we're bringing in Batman for, the guy who's not well versed in magic, even though Superman probably could fill that role in really well.
Yeah. Oh, so you know what? Better yet, not even Superman. I would say Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman knows magic like the back. She doesn't know it, but she's more experienced with it. She fights wizards and witches
Mhm.
and stuff like that. Why not her? She kills people for God's sake. She's dark. Like Superman, I I could see that too. It's just why, like, I get it. They're the more like rogue quote unquote characters of the DC universe, but like and Batman's like friends with Zatanna and probably good friends with Constantine and stuff like that, but like I just think it would have been a better fit for Wonder Woman or um just nobody from the Justice League, you know what I mean? I think it would could have benefited from not having, for God's sakes, Batman was in Suicide Squad, you know?
Yeah,
They
that's
just
part of Suicide Squad also.
yeah, right? And it's not like Batman doesn't work. He's a great character. So I mean that, you know? I
Yeah,
just it's just like
but yeah, DC has always been focused more on Batman and the Joker.
yeah.
That's what they've always been focused on.
Mhm. And it's not like it doesn't pay off. Batman clearly pays the bills, but like I just think you're having a huge missed opportunity to capitalize on everyone else, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I like what
yeah,
it's just
because yeah,
yeah,
I
no, go ahead, go ahead.
remember. Huh? No, what were you say?
No, 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 go ahead. I was
No,
just
I was
talking.
just
Go
saying,
ahead,
like,
go
I
ahead.
remember when, the Dark Knight trilogy was out, and then also the Arkham games were out, and by the 3rd one, and, by the time Rises came out as well,
Mhm.
I was like, it's a lot of, well, mainly for Arkham, like, a lot of Batman and Joker, just the
Mhm.
fact that Joker's in every one of those games, and we all love Batman and Joker,
Yeah, agreed.
but with, like, that and then the, trilogy, and I feel like there was more Batman stuff going on, I just can't remember on top of my head, but, when isn't there a lot of Batman stuff going on?
Mhm.
I was like, "I I need a break from Batman. I love him, he's, one of the best superheroes ever." I was like, "I need a break. They keep giving me Batman and nothing else. I want something else."
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Marvel has Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man, big names, all these big names. Warner Brothers has Batman. They
Yeah.
have Superman. They don't use Superman. They have Wonder Woman. They don't use Wonder Woman. They have the Flash. He loses two directors. I'm sorry, three. I mean, like I just don't understand. Like, why is this? Seriously, why is this so? It just my head hurts when I think about the fact that Marvel
Yeah.
Comics made a movie about Ant Man,
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the, and it worked. They Guardians of the Galaxy is like, my God, it's about a tree and a raccoon, and it's in space, and it works. It worked. Let's like, and here's my thing. And I think I've mentioned this to you before. I don't think the dark tone is the problem. I just think it's the characters that just suck.
Mhm.
The characters and the stories, they're just like
Yeah,
they just
and
no,
when
go
you
ahead.
think about it, which is really sad,
Mhm.
uh, Guardians of the Galaxy, which were characters even 5 years ago, nobody knew,
Mhm.
I didn't even know who they were, and, I knew comics, stuff like that,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
same boat, same boat.
people are more excited about the sequel to that than Justice League. That is that should never
That yeah.
happen.
We are finally, after I don't know how many years, finally going to see the Justice League on TV screens, and nobody cares.
It should be easy. It should be so easy.
Yeah. It's just I mean I yeah, it should be the easiest thing. But how do you how do you do that? Like, and I've said this 1,000 times. Marvel at this point have sold me on the idea that they can do any character in their library and make it work. I said before, they can do Squirrel Girl. They can do Squirrel Girl and I will go see it because it's probably good. But Marvel can't even get like they're literally they are in possession of the guy who made superheroes. They have Superman, you know what I mean? He's the very first superhero ever created and they can't use him. They can only use Batman. Like, how do you not like how? I just don't understand that. You have the entire Justice League at your disposal and you can't. Oh, And you're right. I think right around the time Arkham City came out, there was I think we had you're right, we had the Dark Knight trilogy going on. Beyond that, we even had I think we had Beware the Batman on television
Yeah.
along with Batman the Brave and the Bold. We had Batman-apalooza, seriously. He was all over the place. And and then they celebrated his 75th, and that was a huge merchandising palooza. You know, they had panels and merchandise and oh man, bat symbols galore. You know, he had a great run in the New 52 by Scott Snyder. It's great,
Mhm.
but dude, they can't use another character. It's just man, you know that like I don't know about you, but it just leaves like a sick feeling in my stomach. It kind of just is kind of sickening. Like
Yeah, yeah. Every time I think of the DC universe, it's just been 3 movies so far. I'm like, "What?" Like, a giant mess.
yeah, really, in terms of just about everything,
The
production.
stink is real.
Yeah, it is, you know, and you're totally right. It's weird and confusing and messed up in every sense of the word. Production, direction, um, continuity, story, just everything makes no sense. And it's just who's running the show? Like seriously. Ah man, I The Flash has lost 3 directors now. Like, wow. I mean, I've never heard of a Marvel movie ever doing that. In history, and I mean in history, like every single Marvel movie has been pretty consistent. Even the Spider-Man movies, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, the X-Men series by Bryan Singer, you know? They've been rather consistent.
It's kinda amazing how looking back, how good the Spider-Man movies came out to be,
Yes, it
considering
really
how Sam
is.
Raimi, was so different before that.
He's the director of like Evil Dead and
Yeah.
crap like that. Like what the what? And yeah, you're totally right. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, even X-Men to some extent, you know, X1 and X2 are good movies. X3 is messed up, but X2 and X1 are good movies, you know? It just I mean, I think the only characters that Marvel, and it's not even their fault, haven't been able to pull off is the Fantastic Four. But like
Yeah, it's more
that's
Fox.
exactly. It's Fox's fault. Like you have no excuse, Fox. Like
Yeah, and that's I remember, when we talked about this before, Elijah mentioned, like, okay, well, Warner Brothers still has, the rights to DC, and, that's cool. They can, always they can keep rebooting until they get it right.
mhm.
But, well, we don't want them to keep trying until they get it right. We wanna
Yeah.
but I keep thinking about Fantastic Four, and they've, like, never made a great what are you think the original ones were okay? They never made a great Fantastic Four movie. They
Mm-mm.
keep trying, but they've never done it.
Yeah. The old ones are just cheesy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I just hope DC doesn't keep trying to do it and just keeps messing it up.
That's a big fear. It is, and you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Justice League fails that they're just gonna say, "Hey, we're dropping this," you know? Because I really don't have high hopes for that movie. I really, really don't. I think of all the movies that are coming out this year, I think that one's gonna be the most disappointing. Just because of what they've said about it, number 1,
Mhm.
and what the trailer has displayed, because it looks like Avengers 2.0. I'm sorry, not even 2.0. I'm sorry, should I say 0.5?
Yeah,
They went
probably.
back. They went back, like I just find it so funny how they're cracking so many jokes in that movie, and I'm like, "Guys, Superman's dead. Remember that? He's
Um,
dead. Bruce,
yeah.
he's dead." Like, you know what I mean? What happened to "Men Are Still Good, I won't fail him in death," but here you are making jokes with Wonder Woman. That's funny, right? We're cheesy. It's okay. We're good, right, guys? No, it's not. Oh man, I just is David Esquire writing Justice League? I'm looking that up. Hold on a second.
So, yeah. Well, Blake, think about this. No matter how many directors leaving, we always got Zach, man. Good old Zach.
Man, I want to defend that guy so badly, but I can't because he's he's not a bad director. He's just a terrible storyteller.
Oh man, it's kind of amazing how he's the one director that's always, like, yeah, I'm all in.
No, the writer for Argo is going to be doing
Oh,
Justice League, but he also wrote BBS, so screw him.
did you really?
Yeah,
Wow. Wow. How do you go from Argo to okay?
I don't know. How do you mess up this bad? Like this is, you know what? I'll even say I think Warner Brothers as a whole company is kind of screwing up. But I don't want to say anything about that because I think we should talk about that later. Because oh boy, I got some words to say about Teen Titans going Powerpuff Girls.
Is that
Screw
also
that
done?
crap. I mean, Cartoon Network, they own it. So,
Oh, oh yeah, I always forget that.
mhm. I mean, wow. Teen Titans Go.
Great show.
God, that show hurts. Because like at first it started, I'm like, okay, it's a joke, guys. Don't worry about it. And then they started actively, I mean actively, like going after the people who criticized it in the show.
Really?
It's not like the creators were on Twitter like, "Oh, you guys suck, haha, lols." No, they in the show they actively like criticize the people who hate the show. And I'm like, "You're
That's weird.
oh, I hate you guys." And I have you heard interview? I don't think you have because you don't.
No.
I don't think you research. You don't. You actually have like stuff to do, and I'm just lazy old fart, doing nothing.
No,
So
I just look at other dumb stuff.
yeah. Oh man, if you want to like really get triggered, watch some. I'm not watch, but read some interviews with those guys because those guys have like the dumbest philosophies in terms of what makes something funny ever. Their philosophy is basically YOLO. I'm not even kidding about that.
Wow.
Like in terms of story, they'll just be like, "Yo, we can do whatever we want." I'm like, that doesn't mean you should. Like, God. Anyways, going back to like basic art topics. I'm sorry for getting off topic, dude. I'm
I know,
so
I did the
triggered.
same.
I'm so triggered by DC right now. I mean, I heard the Flash, and if I'm not mistaken, the Flash show actually isn't doing as good as it was previously.
Mm.
I don't know if this is true. I heard that it's back and the reviews are actually going down. I haven't been keeping up with it. I've been trying to, but it's kind of difficult because of just, you know, like workload and stuff like that. But that's what I hear. And for me, Arrow dropped off the face of the earth right as season 3 began.
Yeah.
Right as soon as he fell off the cliff, I'm like, that's it, I'm done. Because then I realized I'm like, oh, it's Batman. And I was all like,
Yeah. That's when me and you both stopped.
I,
I tried to keep going. I know I went a little bit more than you, but I couldn't. Uh,
and then Legends of Tomorrow actively made me mad. Just because of like, I'm like, why are you doing this? Nobody who asked for this. Like, you know what I mean? Like it felt like they just took the leftovers of the CW shows and were just like, hey, here you go. Here's a show about all of these guys who you don't care
to
about.
expand the DC TV universe, man.
Supergirl is also extremely cheesy.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
oh my god! Like when I watched the first episode, I'm like, okay, it's a happy, fun show. It's not bad. Oh my gosh! I don't cheese out the. Oh my god! How? Like this is. I'm not gonna lie, dude. This is cheesier than Fantastic Four.
But
Like, bro, it's like
how?
Fantastic Four with a side of cheese on top of a cheese pizza made of cheese, only cheese. Like, how do you get this cheesy? Oh my god. I can't remember. It's when she's fighting Silver Banshee or something like that, right?
Mhm.
And she's it's the Flash crossover episode, right? And she's fighting Silver Banshee and like she plugs her ears with like these fancy things and then Silver Banshee screams and like she says something so cheesy, so like oh like that joke gave me cancer. Like you know what I mean? Oh.
Yeah. Well,
What were we talking about again?
talking about DC
Oh.
and how great they are.
Oh, trigger. No, I'm kidding. That's my trigger word now. DC Comics. Anyways, but I guess to get back way back on topic. I'm sorry. I went off again. I'm sorry, John. I do this, man.
No, it's understandable.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I think with that, we kind of covered our thoughts on this whole
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah, man, I'm scared. Really, I am. These like how, man? And it's never but like this is the problem that I really have and I want to kind of say this just kind of wrap up. This is nothing new to DC, you
Yeah.
know? Really, it's not. Superman Returns, I've been reading in the production of that because I was like, how did this movie come about? That movie was messed up from day one. Like, oh my God. You know what I mean? Heck, you can say it started with Batman Forever and Superman 3 and oh my god, like seriously, if you go back, you'll realize that these movies have been on a consistent decline, until Christopher Nolan came in and said, "Hey, I want to make a Batman movie that's actually good."
Hmm.
And
Yes, and it's the fact that you'd think they would learn by now, and they
mhm.
just haven't.
No, I just you got me, man. I have no idea why this is like why they're screwing up so badly. Like you've had years and years, and Green Lantern was not that far back. I think that's like 2011.
Hmm.
That's only 6 years ago. That's not that far back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just oh man, how like I mean. It's weird, man. It's gonna be a very odd year, and I can't wait to see Wonder Woman just to see if how it turns out because I think that film and Justice League, in terms of financial and critical performance, will decide this DC cinematic universe's fate. You know, I really think so. I think that if these two movies fail, they're just gonna say we're done. We're gonna stop. And I have a question actually. How would you feel if that happened? If Justice League was actually a bad movie and they just said we're done?
I I would just be like, okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel particularly happy about it. I wouldn't be sad that I couldn't see this universe keep going.
Mhm.
I just feel like, yeah, um, okay,
That was a thing.
yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait to buy the biography of how it all fell. Heck, man, if someone wrote a book about that, I'd buy it in a heartbeat. That would be
Hmm.
great. Um, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I'd just be like, whatever. It was a thing. It's sad, but and you know what? I actually kind of, if I want to be honest, I feel more bad for the actors,
Yeah.
specifically Henry Cavill. I feel like he's really been like he barely gets to speak, he barely gets to act. Like you know what I mean? Like it's kind of the same with Gal Gadot. I mean, she's getting her own solo movie,
Mm.
but I don't know, man. I feel really bad for a lot of these actors who really put a lot of time and effort into like, oh my gosh, have you like I don't know if you heard, but Cavill's workout for Man of Steel and
Mm,
BVS, they were like hardcore military stuff. Like they were stuff that, you know, like it's nuts what he went through to get that, to just get that physique, and to he put a lot of effort into that character, and I just, and I think he did a good job, all things considered. I just feel like he did not get enough, like, it's kind of the, what? Same with Margot Robbie as
mm,
Harley Quinn. I think she did a great job. It just,
yeah.
yeah, it just, the stories, and it's just, I don't know. It's, to me, I think I'm a little bit more heartbroken than maybe you would be if they cancel Justice League. I would be heartbroken, but I'd also be, actually, in my honest eyes, I'd be a little happy just knowing that they're done. They don't have to touch this stuff. We don't have to. I don't have to suffer through, or not. I don't want to say suffer. I guess that's, well, yeah, I'll say suffer. Um, I don't have to suffer through these crappy interpretations anymore. You know what I mean? I can go back and I'll just be like, you know what? Forget this. I'm gonna go watch Justice League the animated series. I'm out. You know.
Yeah.
So that's really where I stand. I guess to sum up on all these directing stuff, like, how do you feel about all this directing stuff, and do you think that they have a chance of making a comeback at all?
Honestly, I don't think so. Just because, like I said, they should have learned by now, and they clearly haven't. Suicide Squad, at the very least, should have been a sign. Before then, Batman v Superman, that should have been a sign that they got to make changes.
Mhm.
And I guess maybe they're trying to, but not really.
Mhm.
I don't know. But yeah, I don't think so. I think they're gonna keep going down this train until it crashes.
Yep. You you said it, dude. I don't know if I have high hopes, man. I just kind of yeah, you said it, bro. That's all I have to say is exactly what you said. I think they're on a collision course, and I don't know if they're gonna be able to make it. I'd love to eat my words. Really, I would. I would love to be completely proven wrong and see these movies be like super great. But I don't know if that's gonna happen. In fact, I would even go as far as say I doubt that's going to happen. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's it from me. Are you good?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go cry a little bit. Think about, man. Why am I crying in these podcasts? Uh, yeah. I guess that's all from us. So if you guys have any thoughts on this very passionate matter or emotional matter, you guys can go ahead in the comments and let us know what you think. You can also follow us on Twitter at Nerds of Just. Right? Right? Is it really
It's at Nerds Just,
at
but you
Nerds
just
Just?
type
Okay.
in Just Nerds, you'll find us. Probably,
Okay.
maybe.
Because we're trending. So
Yes,
yeah.
always.
Well, that's all from us, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time with another heartbreaking podcast. So take care, guys.